Tonight on The Story, we begin in Stone Soup's production kitchen in Southeast Portland, where they prepare free meals for the community. We've been talking a lot about potential budget cuts coming to homeless services in Multnomah County, and funding for this program could be on the chopping block.
Oh my gosh, I think I would probably actually start crying if this program got cut or the funding got cut.
It's our big story tonight.
We're coming in.
Inside Stone Soup's Southeast Portland production kitchen.
And this is our board. So these are all of the meals that we're making today.
The crew makes about 1,700 free meals for those in need every week.
I run all over the city for these guys.
On this day, the food is being delivered to a children's hospital.
It's really important to me that I'm handing it off to people in need. It's important that they get it. Obviously, this is really crucial for them.
Okay, corner coming into the kitchen.
This is Ellen Damascino. She runs the nonprofit.
We are giving back to the community, and our participants are some of those people that make the meals as well.
Like Jennifer Jones.
Yes, I was homeless for 3 years.
Now, Jennifer is almost finished with the culinary job training program at Stone Soup.
Me personally, I'm trying to become a nightclub owner. That's my end goal.
For about 12 weeks, Jennifer has been learning the skills she'll need to work in a restaurant while getting paid a small stipend along the way. She's one of 100 people who take part in this training program each year.
And they help with bus passes and stuff like that. They help the homeless people. They help people who've gotten out of prison who can't otherwise get into a place.
So by giving people jobs in the community, and Portland is a food city, they have access then, they can pay their rent, they can have access to medical care. So we fit into that big piece of the puzzle around housing by providing workforce training.
But the future of this program is uncertain, seeing as it relies on money from Multnomah County's Homeless Services Department. That department is facing a massive budget gap in the neighborhood of $100 million. Here's the county chair back in February sounding the alarm.
Taxpayers want to see us pick up the pace of progress and continue working together. This will not be possible if we are forced to make the drastic cuts that are on the horizon.
This past year, Stone Soup got more than $200,000 from the county.
It's staff, it's supportive services for our participants, and it's paying them a stipend as well.
There are now talks of 25% cuts coming to Multnomah County's homeless programs.
These cuts will result in increased homelessness and suffering for our community,
sparking anxiety for those in the Stone Soup kitchen.
How do we prepare and plan for if we don't know what the cuts are coming from? Everybody's feeling that way, right?
Oh my gosh, I think I would probably actually start crying if this program got cut.
I mean, I'm really opposed to it. I think everybody here in Portland City and in Multnomah County, we all know that helping people in need and getting, kind of our city back on track, getting people off the streets is like priority number one. I think we can all be united on that, and these are programs that help do that. I don't see how cutting them makes any sense.
So that's a look at how the threat of budget cuts are impacting one homeless service provider. And this is impacting providers across the county. Again, these 25% cuts being floated are an idea. They are not final. It's just what the county chair has said could happen if they don't find another way to fill the gap. The chair has asked the state, neighboring counties, and regional government metro for millions of dollars, and so far, none of them have handed that over. The county's Homeless Services Department has submitted its proposal for filling that gap. The chair will now consider those ideas and release her plan in about a month. That will be followed by weeks of public hearings and work sessions. The county board will vote on a final budget in June. Okay, so what do you think about potential cuts to homeless services, especially groups like Stone Soup? Let us know. Email us at thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail 503-226-5090. Or as always, you can hit us up on social media. Now, someone who has been closely involved in those budget talks is the director of Multnomah County's Homeless Services Department, Dan Field. But he won't be involved for much longer. The chair's office announced today Field is leaving the department. He's retiring in June. So he joins us live now. Mr. Field took over the role of director of the county's homeless services in 2023. Mr. Field, excuse me, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, hello, Blair. Thank you for having me.
You know, I remember I was at the news conference the day you stepped into the new role, but before becoming the director of the county's Homeless Services Department, you were a longtime Kaiser Permanente executive. So I'm curious, what surprised you, if anything, about the inner workings of county government?
Oh, a couple of things, some good and some more challenging. On the good front, there's just a ton of talented people working in public service right now, both for government, also in some of the nonprofits. Think about the people at Stone Soup and what they're doing in our community. Having the chance to meet with them, work with them, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people like you just profiled at Stone Soup, and being able to participate in the work that they're doing in our community was a real high point. A more challenging point of view is it's really hard to get our elected officials on the same page. And there continues to be really vigorous debate about how we should be tackling the homelessness crisis. So that was a bit of a surprise for me as well.
So we all know the county is in the middle of figuring out how to fill that major budget gap. Your department, the Homeless Services Department, has submitted its proposal for filling that gap. So what stands out to you about your proposal? I mean, do you think the community will really feel the impact of all this?
Yeah, so I thought your story actually did a really nice job of framing the budgeting process. It's a little convoluted, but just to refresh on what you said, the department is at the very beginning of the process. Our job as staff is to frame the choices that our elected officials have to make. We take the revenue that's available to us, we explain what we'll be able to fund with that revenue, and then we turn it over to the county chair and the county commissioners and ultimately other elected officials to decide if they want to increase the amount of money they're spending in our area or not. So our job is to submit a balanced budget. We don't have the choice to go over budget. We submit a balanced budget, and then the elected officials take over from there. My most sincere hope is that organizations like Stone Soup get funded. We certainly put them high on the list, organizations like theirs, for being funded going forward. And so I think that's what the next couple of months are about, is finding out what are the public's priorities, what do we value, and what do we want to continue funding.
You know, one focus for you as director these past few years has been creating a long-term plan to address homelessness. Do you feel like you've done that?
Yeah, I came in with really three things I wanted to accomplish. And I would say, you never say job done, but we made good progress in all three. One, we had to stabilize the department. We had been through interim leaders, temporary leaders, and no team can function without a strong leader. And so I've been there for 2 years. We have a great team in place that's going to be there after I leave. I'm very proud of that. Two, we remember that the city and the county were having pretty public fights. We continue to have robust discussion, but that sort of being at each other's throats, I think we've put that to rest. And the city and the county now have a 3-year agreement that we're working on. We signed that last fall. And I think that relationship holds a lot of promise. The third thing was people said we need a master plan. We need an overall strategy. We've done that. We have a homeless response action plan. The community helped us develop that. The city signed on to that, City of Gresham as well. And we're working down the list of deliverables on that homeless response action plan. So I feel good about the progress we've made. Never able to say that we're done or everything's been accomplished, but that's the nature of this work.
So we know Deputy Director Anna Plum is stepping in once you leave. What do you see for the future of the department, and what do you think needs to change?
Yeah, I think we need to continue to encourage our elected officials to get on the same page together, to set aside sort of the political agendas that many of them bring to the table, and instead really focus on the work. Use the city-county agreement, use that homeless response action plan to guide our actions. I think we've made good progress there, but more headway could be made.
So looking back, I'm curious, what grade would you give yourself for the work you've done these past few years?
I'll come back in June. I still have 3 months to go. I'm not giving up until my last day, and so let's wait till I cross that finish line to start setting the score.
Okay, Dan Field, thanks for coming on the show. I'm sure we'll talk again before your retirement.
Thank you, Blair.
All right, now let's get to some of your thoughts on our big story from last night regarding the push to bring a Major League Baseball team to Portland and building a ballpark on the city's south waterfront. We spent a lot of time talking about Senate Bill 110, which would adjust legislation from 2003 to allow for $150 million in bonds for stadium construction. This new bill would change that number to $800 million, with the bonds being paid back through something called a jock tax. That's revenue from state income taxes generated by the players and staff on the team's payroll. Visiting players and staff would also pay when they come to town, since they would be playing within the state of Oregon. But once those bonds are paid back, money from the jock tax would go directly to the state's general fund. Now, the biggest question on many of your minds is this one from Steve. He says, who would pay off the bonds if the baseball team happens to leave for whatever reason? A lot of you assume that it will fall on the taxpayer. So we asked the group behind all of this, that's the Portland Diamond Project, and they pointed us to the state treasurer's office. They told us, quote, the state is not committing funding in advance for the stadium or covering ongoing or future costs. The funding drawn from the revenue-backed bonds is generated by payroll taxes from the team. The team would be shouldering the risk, not the state. Now, that idea of the team shouldering the risk was also discussed during yesterday's hearing on Senate Bill 110 in Salem.
Example, terrible example, but it comes 10 years later, it goes bankrupt. They go bankrupt, not the state of Oregon, because we only pledge the money that we would draw from them. If somebody wants to come in and buy it, or they move it, God, forbid, to some other city or state, that stadium, basically the bankruptcy goes with the team. And I hate to put it that way.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so it seems that in theory, taxpayers would not be on the hook if the team came and went before those bonds were paid off. But now to the rest of all of your feedback. The slight majority of you agree with another viewer named Steve, who left us this voicemail.
Portland doesn't need an MLB stadium. We certainly need visionary leadership to restore community pride, but anyone who's ever visited OHSU South Waterfront knows that siting a ballpark nearby is just foolhardy. I do want a new I-5 bridge, though, an interstate bridge. Show me a bridge, and I'll pony up for NFL, MLB, tennis, even a pickleball facility, in that order.
Okay, Steve. Well, Zia wrote to us, I don't think we need a baseball team or a stadium. And even if we did, the location is abysmal. That neighborhood needs a full-size grocery store more than a baseball stadium. We also heard from an OHSU employee who works along the waterfront.
For me, it is a big no. We serve a lot of patients and a lot of people. We have 15 ORs down at the waterfront. We have patients that spend the night, and the sound, the noise, the traffic just to get in and out of there without a stadium for the patients and the doctors and the staff is already a disaster. And I just think this is a terrible place for it to go.
While there is a lot of negativity about the project, there's certainly a crowd who would be thrilled to have the big leagues here at home.
We would love MLB in Portland. My husband's been dreaming of it for years. And to say that we're not a baseball supporting community, I think is wrong, because at least all the people we've talked to are absolutely for it, especially from an economic perspective. And we are 100% certain that if you build it, they will come, and they'll love it.
Loretta wrote to us saying, I'm from a multi-generational Chicago Cubs fan family and a two-ball club city. It's no coincidence areas proximate to Chicago's Wrigley Field are filled with music venues and a vibrant restaurant scene. A ballpark can help counteract the loss of a city. Businesses will grow and thrive. Mass transit will get a boost. It's a no-brainer investment.
I have known all of my life that Portland, Oregon is a fabulous baseball town and softball town, I might add. And I just think it would be an excellent investment to use that old Seidel yard as a new baseball stadium.
Well, Senate Bill 110 has a work session scheduled in a state Senate committee tomorrow morning, and we will be watching. Well, coming up next on the story, we head to Washington State, where the police academy there recently banned a certain handgun over concerns and documented cases where it appears the gun can fire without pulling the trigger. New police body cam video and why some departments who already have the gun are sticking with them. That's next when the story returns. Well, now to an update on a story we've followed for several weeks regarding a specific model of handgun that's used by police departments all over Washington state. Some of those agencies are sticking to their guns, literally. It comes after the State Police Academy banned a specific Sig Sauer handgun over concerns that it can fire without the trigger being pulled. But the decision to ban it from the academy has caused turmoil in some departments, who are now pushing back. Chris Ingalls with our affiliate in Seattle, King 5, has the story.
They're inside here. Thanks.
What's going on tonight?
A man in crisis at a grocery store in Kitsap County.
We've got the ladder right here. It'd be right easy to climb down. Yeah.
Perfect. Sheriff's deputies responding to this call in April of last year couldn't convince him to come down from a cabinet.
We're not.
It's at this moment, when deputies pounce on the fallen man, that this turns into something more than a routine call.
Oh my God, what was that?
3 body cameras rolled as the sound of a gunshot rang out.
What just happened?
I have no idea. Somebody's gun went off.
Does he have a gun on him? We're all holstered.
Well, I'm saying I don't know if it went off in a holster.
None of the deputies had touched their weapons. Later, one of them realizes it was her gun that fired.
Okay, that's an empty shell.
That came out of your gun?
That just came out of my gun.
Your gun was in your holster.
My gun was in my holster. I felt it hot on my thing.
Do me a favor.
Yep.
Take a deep breath.
Yep. Okay. I'm good.
No one was injured, but this incident launched an investigation of the deputy's sidearm, the Sig Sauer P320 handgun, widely used by police and the U.S. military. Last month, the State Criminal Justice Training Center permanently banned the P320 at the academies that train all Washington law officers. As we reported, leadership determined this video shows a Yakima recruit's P320 firing and almost striking an instructor. Both men said the recruit's finger was not on the trigger.
What the hell?
The Training Commission's case adds to a growing number of claims nationwide that the P320 fires on its own, even when secure in a holster. But some police agencies that issue the P320 oppose the ban.
I'm Chief Wendell Shirley of the Bellevue Police Department.
At this meeting earlier this month of the Criminal Justice Training Commission, Bellevue Police Chief Wendell Shirley said the decision would be a financial and operational hardship. He wants officers to train at the academy with a gun they'll use on the job.
And would ask the commission to consider placing a temporary pause on this directive to allow for a more thorough discussion about the budget and the impact.
Bellevue Police declined repeated interview requests from King 5, but in emails obtained through public records, the department's firearms expert called the ban outrageous and said academy leaders haven't listened to a word we've said. A lieutenant wrote, "We have made the decision and stand by our choice of the SIG P320, and SIG has proved it cannot fire without a trigger pull." Police in Kirkland also opposed the ban, writing, "We are shocked by the Training Commission's action. We don't believe the data supports this decision."
I felt something like hot on my leg when that sound went off.
Indeed, there are cases where the gun appears blameless.
Okay. Self-check.
During the Kitsap Sheriff's probe, investigators noticed this on the body cam video. The deputy's handcuffs loose in her duty belt, likely from the struggle. This photo shows how a handcuff strand could have entered the holster, which they say was responsible for pulling the trigger.
We're having to rearm our whole sheriff's department. Because there's a malfunctioning firearm out there.
Nevertheless, 4 days after our original story aired, Kitsap County commissioners approved up to $400,000. That will pay for more than 200 new model firearms and training for all officers.
We want our deputies to have a safe, dependable weapon. And then, they're going to watch these play out too. And then, on King 5 News.
Even though the P320 was not blamed here, Kitsap County says deputies shouldn't have one more thing to worry about in a job that's already full of danger.
I mean, obviously, there's plenty of case study here that says it's a defective firearm. Frankly, we need to get it off our deputies' hips.
Now, Sig Sauer has never responded to our investigators' questions about its handgun. But soon after our stories aired, the company issued a blistering statement on its website. It blames the controversy on anti-gun groups, members of the mainstream media, trial attorneys, and other uninformed people. It calls these claims manufactured lies, and that all of these cases are negligent discharges, meaning someone or something did pull the trigger. It is worth noting that a lot of the victims in these cases are in fact police officers who frankly understand the operation of firearms. So for the company to blame uninformed people is perhaps a stretch. Now, when it comes to Oregon, we got in touch with the biggest law enforcement agencies here to see if they use the P320. Most of them who got back to us said no. Portland, Gresham, Oregon State Police, and the Marion County Sheriff's Office do not use it. As far as training officers goes, Oregon's Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, which runs Oregon's Police Academy, says they only have one used by staff. Stick with us. We're back right after this. The KGW Great Food Drive is going on now, and we need your help to meet our goal of more than 1 million meals. So far, we've collected enough donations to provide more than 850,000 meals for our community. But we're not done yet. It is so easy to give. Just go to kgw.com/food drive and give online. Plus, when you donate online, you'll receive a pass to the Columbia Sportswear Employee Store. We want to thank local Toyota dealers, Pacific Office Automation, Rivermark Community Credit Union, and Safeway for supporting this year's food drive. Well, that's the end of our show, folks. Thanks so much for watching. The good stuff is coming your way next. And don't forget, everyone has a story to tell. If you ever miss an episode of The Story at 6:30, we re-air the episode at 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. on our TV app, KGW Plus, which you can download right now for free. It's on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. In the meantime, enjoy your sunny Tuesday night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 6:30.